this particular act. Here we came here to, first thing we brief about this potential of this act being misused in the hands of state authority. मेन चीज़ यहाँ पे हम लोग आज आया है, first message we want to carry that कि we are trying to educate the people way out to fight the system, intellectually and democratically. Another thing we want to enlighten, we are trying to enlighten the citizens of the state that about the potential of this act being misused in the hands of state authority in long run. So basically we have pointed out the lacunas of this Arunachal Pradesh Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 2014. So in this regard, in support of our representation, we are launching a moment called a citizen's call, a moment for right to freedom of speech, extra, and the right to life and liberty. Here our slogan is, wake up Arunachal, speak up Arunachal. Our target is to ignite the mind of the people. Here you have seen a lot of people are discussing about the misuse of this act. Misuse of this act to silence the voice of the people. But our people are not aware of the things, how we can fight against this law. We are not against any individual, we are not against any particular leaders, we are against this particular law. That has the potential to silence the popular voice of the people. So, first thing, our campaign is to enlighten the people about the draconian and unfair nature of this law. This law has a potential of being misused in very high extent. We cannot imagine how far this can be misused. So, first thing we are trying to highlight the very brief about this act. This act is a definition of unlawful activities under this act is very exhaustive one. That has the potential to bring any democratic movement within the ambit of unlawful activities. If you go through this act and the definition of unlawful activities, you will find that this unlawful activities, definition of unlawful activities has been defined so exhaustively that it can be interpreted in any manner to, for the convenience of the authority to silence the voice of the people. So we are against this law. This, in simple word, definition of unlawful activity provided under this act is broad enough to bring any democratic movement under the ambit of unlawful activities. Anything, any voice of the people can be bring under this law. You just read the definition of this unlawful activities under this act. Means unlawful activity means acting in such a manner so as to cause or likely to cause, directly or indirectly, any feeling of insecurity, danger or fear among the general public, any section thereof, or any danger to the safety of the individuals, safety of the public health, or the ecological system. See, the ecological system, the term ecological system is very wide. You cannot define in very simple language. It has very wide term, and they are using such terms. Here you can also find that any loss or damage to public exchequer. If there is an apprehension that the activities of the people can cause damage or loss to the public exchequer, that activities can be brought under the definition of unlawful activities, and people can be detained under this act. Damage, see the examples. Loss and the damage to public exchequer. See, I am just giving the examples. Say example, the media patronage or whosoever raise a voice on certain pathetic condition of, say, government transport facilities. say that these facilities is not good enough to be used. So this kind of message, this is just an example. This kind of opinions can be given in democratic country so that the government can take this corrective measures. But if you say this service is not good for people, this in other way, it can also cause a loss to public exchequer. That there is chances that the people may not travel in the public transport because of such kind of message, such kind of news. So there may cause a apprehension of causing loss to public exchequers. That definition, if we go by this definition, such kind of comment also be brought under this act. So this vague and vague definition and exhaustive definition of the unlawful activities is very dangerous for us. So we have pointed out that this definition of this act, and we have also a law, central legislation, that Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967. There the definition of the unlawful activities is very clear, very limited. There is no potential of misusing that act, that definition. But this act has a potential, unimaginable potential of being misused. So again, you go through this act. If you see this act, you will find that this Arunachal Pradesh Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 2014 is just a ditto copy of National Security Act. National Security Act 1980, except the definition of unlawful activities. Rest are just ditto copy. You imagine the National Security Act is a very powerful legislation. Intent and object of that legislation was very different. But ditto copy of this act has been formulated, enforced here with a different intention. So that point of time when this Apu-Apa Act was passed way back in 2014, I don't know what compelled the government of that day to pass this act, but this is a ditto copy of National Security Act, which is meant to be used against the people who is against the national interest or sovereignty or integrity of the nation. But this Apu-Apa Act has very different objective. And this definition has given a very exhaustive, and it technically we can say that it has a power to silence the people's popular voice. So here we have pointed out some of the very dangerous provisions of this act. The Section 8 of this act indirectly says that power to keep detention without disclosing the ground of detention. Law in a criminal law as well as under Constitution of India, there is a provision that whenever someone is detained, as soon as possible, it has to be communicated to a person arrested or detained within 24 hours, if delay, within 24 hours. But this act says that, indirectly it says that as soon as possible, but not later than 5 days. That means you can keep the detainee under detention without communicating the ground of his or her detention for 5 days. Again, in here, provision says that in special circumstances, special cases, it can keep 10 days. That is very draconian in nature. Once you are detained a person, it need to give an opportunity to defend himself. That is what the fundamental right says. But fundamental rights, here the prevention, we have a lot of preventive detention laws in India. Most of that has been repealed. Most of the act has been repealed. But this law is actually a very draconian one, actually not necessary at all in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. The another provision that powers to keep detention in 3 weeks without producing the representation of affected person. If you read the section 10 of this Apu-Apa Act, it says when someone is detained, their representation is submitted to government.